Folks, today I am joined by Chad Stahelski, one half of John Wick's heart and brain, of course, with Keanu Reeves and Josh. Is it Orek or Oric?
Oric.
Second one, who is the producer of the new documentary about the John Wick franchise, Wick is Pain. I want to start with a embarrassing admission. I remember my exact feelings in 2014 when I first became aware of John Wick. I was in college. Keanu hadn't done much of notes since Matrix, and my general thought was, who asked for this? And I was probably not alone in that. But then, of course, I saw it, and by the time the first set piece unfolds, my mind is blown. And then since then, my John Wick collection looks like this. I've got the box set. I've got number 4. I've got a book. So, with me saying that, Chad, what about what you've pulled off in the last 10 years makes you the most proud?
Um, wow. Um, the most proud. I, there's always pride when you look at your crew. I mean, you think it's the end product. Believe me, I'm proud of the movies. Knowing how they made. There's 100 mistakes an hour in those things that you try to look past. But you're thankful that you got the opportunity. Honestly, I was given a really big opportunity by Keanu to direct, and then pulled in my partner Dave, and our lives changed on that. So you know, it hits you like you see number 4. There's a little bit of closure because of the way we wrapped up the story, and we were at the LA premiere, and you're already happy. The movie's going to do pretty good. It's gotten decent reviews, and people seem to like it. But you look over, and as much as I might suffer and go through stuff, Keanu has to put in more sweat and blood than anybody, right? He's also People forget with actors, I mean, regardless of what paychecks and notoriety or celebrity they have, every job is a massive risk. They take a huge hit if it movie doesn't work, right? So the fact that Keanu chose to spend a decade trusting me is cool. So when you get to the LA premiere and you see Keanu actually smiling, you look over and he's actually having a good time, and you can see pride and you see the shine of his eyes, and he's looking at, we're all sitting with the other cast and all the stunt team and our crew right in the heart of it. And you look around and you're not really watching the movie, you're watching them watch the movie, and every one of them's bumping each other and like it's a pride that you can't get from anything other than like a team activity where you really had people get them on your side. And literally everyone we've worked with in the Wicks has had a very good career and moved on and done really good things. And if you looked at our stunt team or our roster of action guys, they're you can't go for a big show in Hollywood without seeing one of our guys' names or one of our team's names, which is great. Our crew is legendary. Keanu, just look at his career in the last 10 years. Quality of life has gone way up with our enjoyment of what we do. I mean, that's the real pride, right? When you know someone gives you that shot and you didn't let them down. I would say that's the biggest thing.
You kind of lead me into my next point because the sort of main thrust of the film begins with you going to the gym at 6 a.m. So you're sort of aware of the physical toll, not only of this kind of work, but for a man of your age. And what you just touched on, like, how much do you think to yourself, how the fuck is Keanu still doing this?
Um, it's more pride that he's still doing it. I know how he's like, look, we all come from that background, we'll say, where if you're not getting up at 5 in the morning, you really don't deserve the slot. Between what I was before my life in film, and then being a stunt performer and performing at the level that we had to perform at, and then coming to the big action movies like The Matrix and working with the best choreographers and stunt coordinators in the world. Like you get that, and it's really just heart and will. If you have the right heart and will, you're unstoppable. Now, enduring that, that's a different thing. I look more for consistency. I know people can push and hard. The fact that he did it consistently after 3 successful movies to come back and do the hardest one last, what he had to do on the training was almost double on number 4. And, you're 10 years older. The stakes are much higher. Now you've built a franchise, and like, boy, you have something to, first of all, we had nothing to lose, like we just tried, to still put it out there and still not like, not change an ounce, not diminish the will, the heart, the endurance at all, and actually come back with twice the willpower and twice the heart. That's the real impressive thing.
Plus, and like the doc, it says he was sick throughout the whole shoot of
Oh yeah,
four,
like
which
you
just like
can't at that level, at 400, 500,000 a day, you don't get days off,
yeah. So Chad, you lived it, and then Josh, of course, you have sort of relived it through this doc. I would love to hear both of your point of views. One of the main parts of this doc is sort of the knife edge in which the first John Wick lived until the day you started to shoot, and then pretty much through that in terms of how you were going to get the film out there, except for the choice to kill the dog. If you had to pick one creative or technical choice that served as sort of a butterfly effect for the whole franchise we're in, had you gone down that other road, things might have unfolded in an entirely different way. What do you think that was?
Hmm. Um, Look, the puppy thing is probably the biggest. You're right. It's an obvious tweak in a script. It would be an obvious, probably, and it was the number one note from producers, financiers, studio people. You know, uh, you know, I, I would say it's one of these three other things. Okay, like the way we handled action and violence, kung fu. Headshots were considered pretty violent. We kind of made fun of them and made them a little bit more Bugs Bunny, but that was definitely a thing. The overall story motif, and when I say that, I mean the wife dies naturally, the bad guys don't kill her.
Mm.
Keanu chooses like they stole his car, they killed his dog, and he killed 86 people. A little extreme, not a normal. Came back with a note, like with the puppy. He killed Alfie Allen. Yosef, um, cold bloodedly, which was a big studio note. Don't kill him. So can Alfie Allen's character still be alive at the end? Can the puppy not be dead? Can the wife be killed by the bad guys? Typical motivational stuff, and that ties into most of the notes where we don't get why there's an Undertaker, why are there gold coins, why, like, what? There's no Assassin Hotel. The world didn't make a lot of sense to people. It was an Alice in Wonderland mixed with Lord of the Rings, tying in Chiron, Odysseus, all these weird Greek mythology references. Like, I would say the world building and the storytelling method of it's about fate and grief. And that's a hard thing for plot people to get around. And we were pushed relentlessly to do more plot, less thematic. And that would have changed the movie to what we would consider a B action movie.
Josh?
I mean, I can't speak to any of the creative aspects of it. I would just say,
Well, just because you had seen the sort of evolution of this story in a compressed time, so you have like a different sort of 10,000 foot view. So, was there anything that stood out to you like that was
yeah,
a
I
big
mean,
kind of fork in the road?
you don't talk about it a lot in documentaries. We talked about it a little in ours, but post-production and editorial and the amount of work that they did to make the movie once they had shot it is incredible. I mean, there's so much shaping there. There's so much tone. There's so much, there's a funny thing in the documentary, and it's not to speak ill of Chad and Dave, but that they spent so much time in John Wick's house trying to nail the drama of John Wick's, sad, mopey state at the beginning of the movie when he loses his wife, because they felt like, oh, we know we can get the action right, but like, will people take us seriously as dramatic directors? And that's not, like, they got the tone right, that's for damn sure, but the point is, like, it took time, it took energy, it took experimentation, it took making mistakes. And I think in the cut, like, they went through a million versions of it, and the thing that stood out to me the most, there's a lot of stuff in the documentary about how they couldn't get financing, et cetera, et cetera, but to me, like, they couldn't even sell the film. People didn't even like the film. That's the amazing thing at this. To me, like, John Wick is universally loved, like, by people who I know who just don't like violence at all. They love John Wick, the most violent movie of them all. And to me, like, that's the thing that came from them being relentless about the editorial process, being given the capacity to cut and recut by the producers and by Keanu, as Chad talks about in the movie. And then, you know, coming up with something where they found a voice and a tone that, and that's the thing that, and it doesn't necessarily answer your question directly because it's not one thing, but it is what John Wick is, which is like a really intense exercise in tone over 4 movies to me.
Chad, so one of the things that you point out is that in each of the films, you get to kill a stunt worker who you really love. You know, in 4, it's Scott Adkins, and 3, it's the guys from the Raid and so on. If you could add one actor, action star, or stunt performer from all of time, you know, you could go as far back as Keaton. Who would you add to these films?
Eric, that'd be a long list, man.
That would be so awesome if you could bring back the dead to
If
kill
you had
them.
Harold Lloyd and Buster Keaton and Forrest, I'd put them all in. You know, I'd go back to you know, I'd get Bruce in there. Come on, you know, Yobo. You know, I'd get Jackie and Jet. There's so many people. Like, let's just keep it to reality right now. Like, there's Eco, there's Tony Jaa still out there. You know, yeah, Jackie, who I've tried many times with. There's Jet Li still kicking out there. You know, there's.
The only reason that I didn't ask you current day is because I didn't want to like headline.
No, man, I know this guy. There's an actor, Nassim, I'm really interested in. Rob, that we used in Ballerina, he's still out there. I'd love to work with Scott and Marco again. Mark is still out. Gary Daniels. If they want to use him.
How has Eco not happened yet? I feel like
just honestly, it comes down to schedule and availability. Not everybody's available at the same time, and you can't. There's so many working parts to a film. I'm surprised we're lucky enough to get the people we get.
Yeah,
but dude, I'm serious. I have a list in the other room. That's why we're doing the John Wick TV show. Like we're already getting ready to cast everyone we're talking about. I'm shameless. I'll go out to everybody. See who's interested.
Good. That's awesome. I mean, that's the dream of the John Wick. Now you've got the power to do that. Something that I picked up as I rewatched the films is that not just the comedy grows in terms of how much it's there, but your confidence in doing it. Talk to me about humor being infused in John Wick, why you felt you wanted to or had to do that.
I believe in pressure relief. Like, look, he's tried to study action as much as I could. And it's, what's your favorite action movie?
Not counting John Wick. I mean, and I guess it depends what kind, but in terms of this style,
we'll go with the Matrix.
Or Raid 1
okay,
and 2
Raid.
for me. Or like,
okay, Raid. No, Raid's a great example. Okay, so how many times did you watch the Raid?
Total, probably 10.
All right, give me 5 moves, any 5 moves that happen in the movie exactly how they happen in the movie right now.
Well, one where he kills the guy with the door frame, where he
that's one move. I want 5. I want a sequence of 5.
Oh, yeah.
No fucking idea, do you? None. And yet those guys practiced for 6 fucking months. He shot it, and you loved it. And you watched it 10 fucking times. It's your favorite movie. You can't give me 5 moves in order. What do you remember? Exactly what my point is. You remember that one moment of the door frame, right? Remember the hatchet out the window. Remember that? You remember the machete, right? You remember the big moves, right? You remember that they fought with Krambits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My point is, action's about moments. Matrix, same problem. I was in the Matrix. I was the guy doing all the moves. Me and Keanu, maybe one other dude in the world know what those moves are. What are the 5 things that are defining of the Matrix?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The Thing, Lawrence Fishburne, moments. Is that action?
No.
Not really. It's in the action. There are moments within. Buster Keaton knew this before any of us did. They're about the gag, the setup of the gag, and the payoff of the gag. It's subverting expectations to go, he ran through traffic, you thought he was safe, he grabs a pole, he takes off. The shock value of that one gag has been unforgettable for 103 fucking years. And all he did was grab a trolley. And it is more memorable than anything in the Raid, the Matrix, or John Wick. Setup, subversion, expectation, and payoff.
That's a really good note. Okay, let's have some fun here. I know John Wick would win. Okay, So assuming they're all wearing bulletproof suits, which of these modern action icons would he have the easiest time killing and the hardest time killing? So we've got the Transporter, Jason Bourne, Daniel Craig's James Bond, Ethan Hunt, Tyler Rake, who, sidebar, you must be so proud of Sam from those because those movies are fucking sick as well. And then finally, Denzel as the Equalizer. Which of those would be the easiest and hardest for John Wick to kill?
Well, let's go over the hardships. Equalizer's pretty fucking smart. Like, he doesn't walk in anything. So just to get that guy cornered is going to be tricky. Transporter in a car, a little tricky. Now, if Ethan Hunt was running away, no problem. John's a pretty good shot. Even though Keanu walks. So if John Wick could catch him,
How
I think
fast
maybe
he runs.
Yeah.
And then Bourne and Rake.
Well, if it was the firstborn, he wouldn't know who he is yet. So I think that confusion would lead to our advantage. Chris Hemsworth's a pretty big target. So I don't know. I'm still betting on Wick. Bond, if we could distract him with a woman, I think we'd be okay. We'd have to use
It seems like you've thought this out before.
I've been asked this question a few times.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I think they'd all do well, but what I'd rather see is how they team up and decimate the bad guys.
Yeah.
What about John Wick versus Bruce Lee? The classic stuntman question.
Well, Bruce always has his shirt off, so he doesn't have much bulletproof armor on.
There you go. Where am I at here? Okay, so something I actually know a guy who works at Thunder Road, and something beautiful to me about Reeves in this role. Painters paint. It's just what they do. And while you have to keep John Wick 5 on lock, and I totally get that, what is it about this character, this story, in this world that keeps you guys just coming back for more again and again?
Opportunity. Like, you remember the first time you ever read Lord of the Rings?
I've not read it, but point taken.
Eric,
I remember.
Please read. The movies are great. Go read the book.
I do read. I'm just not a fantasy guy, but I do read. I remember
the first time I read it, you couldn't wait to turn the page just because it was a new world, right? It was taking the best and the worst of mankind and putting it in. It's quite clever how he did it. It was adventure. It had heroes, and it's what, why Joseph Campbell wrote all those books and broke down the hero thing. And look, it was a way to explore all the things that interest us about life. The cool thing about John Wick is just the result of a filter of life going through Keanu and I. There's nothing in those movies that we don't love. Music, nightclubs, dogs, cars, guns, jiu-jitsu, there's all these great things. So we're fascinated by people and brotherhood, trust, honor, chivalry, how those things flip upside down. What's that? John Wick, because we create the rules, we can do anything we want in it. You want ninjas? I got ninjas. You want horses? I got horses. You want a sword fight? I got a sword fight. You want a machine gun fight? I got one of those. The opportunity that we can explore any theme we want, all this mythology in any world, any country, any environment, bring back the old and the new, still experiment with great colors and lights and music of today while, doing cinematic reverence to David Lean or Tarkovsky or Bertolucci or Wong Kar-wai or John Ford. Like, are you kidding? Is there another franchise that allows its creative collaborators to explore that level and that range of cinema? No, man. Like, we can do anything. It's ours.
Well, I think you guys
I could do John Wick in space if we wanted. Great.
Yeah. Well, to that point, actually, on John Wick 5, this has been out there since John Wick 4 came out and since news about 5 has started to pop out there. Have you seen the jokes about John Wick 5 being in hell?
Little bit of Dante, a little purgatory, a little Jean-Paul Sartre.
Yeah. Have you seen that? Do you find that funny? I mean,
I think everything's like, look, you gotta remember, like 10 years ago, we're just stunt guys. We're like ninjas kind of going out there. And now, like, it got weird after the first one where people like it was a little movie. It was a little action movie. And then you walk around seeing John Wick t-shirts and it's on paper and like everybody's talking about John Wick. Like, now John Wick is a term, like, you read it.
Yeah.
All of that is very flattering. It's very humbling. It's fucking strange, you know, because we're just in our for us, it's still the gym, it's still the thing, still do a good job, it's still everything's kind of we're in our little bubble, right? So when you get jokes or people making fun of you or critics ripping you to pieces or anything,
It's not. No. I don't think it's a joke. I don't think people are doing it
like
to
when
make
you
fun.
hear people making jokes and making fun, like it's fun. Like whether it's a bad review or it's a really good joke or it's a meme, to us it's all flattering, and we're just laughing, going, "That's pretty cool." Like, and I've been with Keanu a lot when someone sent us a meme or a John Wick with a dog or some cartoon, whether it's meant to be a critique or funny or whatever it is, and he laughs just as hard. Like they don't take it too. It's not personal. It's fun. The fact that we're out there and we are a target to some is awesome. We just laugh.
I saw a meme of John Wick's body posted into like the Doom video game where he's in hell, and it's just like the caption, "Where the fuck is Theon Greyjoy?" Guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate all your work. Wick is Pain. Check it out. Thank you, gentlemen.